Hey y'all, welcome back to Very Well Trades. I picked up a 37-ton log splitter. Pretty sure it's the only pink one in existence. It left out in the sun. It's got the holders for the log, Honda GX motor. This thing fires right up. It was missing the cap. I since have located one for it. Also came with 4-way wedge kit for it, that's brand new, and the original carburetor that they had pulled off to swap to make it run. And then later on we found the air filter cover for it, and I purchased a brand new OEM one. Not sure which one we're going to use. It already runs, but we're going to do some maintenance on it. Bent up metal, it's got things like that, and I purchased a filter kit for it. Here's the thing, these things didn't come with a filter. They came with a little screen right inside there. So we're going to pull that screen out and make sure that it's clean. And then on the return side right there, we're going to try to install that filter kit and filter if we can make it work. So, because all it used was a sediment type filter. Let's go ahead and get the oil out of this thing. We have 9 gallons to go back in it, and that's supposed to be what this thing holds. So let me get an Allen wrench and we'll get that plug out of the bottom here. Alright, so there's a drain plug down here. This oil pan is not big enough. So this 10mm wrench, 10mm Allen wrench, and let's see, that means that a 3/8 also might have fit. I want to make sure that what comes out of here isn't full of water. And I also have to keep an eye on it. There might have been some water. This is Teflon tape. I hear it venting from the top. I'm not going to close that up until I actually get this thing drained out, because I'd like it to drain slower than normal. Fluid doesn't look too bad. There we go. That's probably good for right now. So just the fact that it had Teflon tape on it tells me that the previous owner had changed it at some point. So this might be brand new oil I'm pulling out. Let me get this dumped. All right, round 2. So this thing is reported as holding 9 gallons. And it's already slowing down. Alright, it's going to take a little while. I'll bring y'all back as soon as this thing's empty. Okay, well, she didn't have 9 gallons inside her, I can tell you that. Now the question is, was it because it wasn't filled up all the way last time? Because this obviously was maintenance. I don't believe that the factory would have had the Teflon tape wrapped around the outside like that. And they said this was owned by a mechanic. And it looks just like something I would have done. There's like 3 models for this thing. And this may have a smaller reservoir other than what I just looked up. So I'm kind of curious if maybe he ran out or if I looked up the wrong model. Because I can see somebody running out of the right amount of oil and just saying, okay, well, I'll just use less and just make sure I don't overheat it, you know. Okay. Not sure why the factory didn't put a filter on this thing. They did say though, if you're going to put a filter on it, you have to put it on the return side, and this is the return side. Okay. All right. Does this fit? Yep, that should fit. And then this housing is supposed to fit there. Filter hanging off the bottom. And there's an arrow, so this is the return, which means that this is the side that I'm screwing in. I don't think we should have this filter off to the side or straight up and down. The filter's going to be hanging down like that. I think we could have it straight down. It's not going to hurt anything. Leave it in its natural state. Son of a gun. It's not even the right filter, and I ordered it as a kit. How you like that? Well, that's kind of useless. All right. Somewhere inside here is a screen filter. There's my screen filter. Yeah, she was time to be cleaned. Let me get this all cleaned up and I'll be right back. I'm gonna clean up the threads, blow all this off with some carb cleaner, things like that, get it all cleaned up. Kind of wishing I had showed that to y'all. When I hit it with the brake clean, it changed colors drastically. There was some stuff stuck inside the screen. I didn't realize until I had hit it with the brake clean under pressure. All right, let's get some Teflon on it and get it put back in. Look down inside here and I really didn't see anything. I mean, there's some dirt, debris, but a little bit right there at the edge. See? So hopefully that filter will help get everything cleaner. I can't fill it back up with hydraulic oil until I get the right filter. All right. Let's get an oil change done on the motor anyway. I think pulling this one here rather than this side here is going to leak all over the tire. So let's take that side out. Let's see. It's actually fairly clean. We're going to change it anyway just because I don't know. All right, gonna need a bigger hammer. Wow. A little on the snug side. Yeah, it was time. It was time for an oil change. You just never know when you get a piece of equipment. You just kind of got to go through and do the maintenance on them because you don't know, is there any water in them? You know, like how was it maintained? Because water a lot of times will go to the bottom of a reservoir. You won't even be able to see it by pulling out a dipstick or whatever else. All right, we're gonna let that drain for a minute. All right, well, that part's done. See, I'm not gonna be able to put on the 4-way wedge until I can get access to this. I can't do that till I can get hydraulic oil in it. Oh, dilemmas. All right, let's get some dinosaur juice in her. And it says the GX270 takes 1.16 quarts. Brontosaurus juice. That looks about right. Let me dump out this oil and maybe we'll start doing some metal straightening and put some pins in. I guess we will start on the front outrigger. The pin's gone, the metal's bent. We added a little wheel around jack for this thing. I don't know why. Let's get that off of there and see if we can straighten that metal out a little bit. Give it a better fit. Let's see. She looks a little bit on the crooked side. Let's get that hammered back in place. Maybe knock some of that rust off. Give it a couple of coats of bring this over to the bench and get this straightened out. All right, while those are drying, let's see if we can figure out what the heck's going on out here. Never seen one that bad before. Do a little bit of persuading on that one and get this one cleaned up too. Alright, let's see if some of these pins I have work. Let's see, it was missing one from here. Yeah, I don't think that one's gonna work. It'll work for right now, but it's not right. One there. You don't want to tighten this one up all the way because it needs to be able to pivot, right? This will work if I not all the way. Oh, there we go. Okay. If this was up, that would go right there. And that would lock. Kind of looks like I could lock it up there, huh? Anyway, but if it's in the down position, so right now I'm sitting too high. Let's lower this down. Okay, I don't know if y'all saw that, but that lifted the wheels off the ground. And if I rotate forward just a little bit, wow, that's really close. I'm starting to see why that one was mangled. Yeah, that one needs a little bit of work. It goes through on this side, but definitely bent just a little bit. Let's see, that position would lock it in there. If I rotate it forward, where does the second lock come from? Oh, almost there. I don't see any reason why that pin won't go in. You might have to run a drill bit through there. Okay. We're making progress though. And then I need a 3-inch, was that a clevis pin? Anyway, I need a 3-inch pin like that to be able to reach this side. All right, let's get a filter, a couple of parts. We'll finish this thing up. All right, we got 5 gallons in. Let's see where we're at on our mark. Because it says to fill to here. Nope, we're not there yet. Although I don't know that it's going to hold another 4 gallons. Tell you what, let's put in about a gallon and see where we're at. And we are right on the money. All right, so this is full. No Teflon for this one because we want it to leak. That's what that hole right here is for. Allow it to breathe and expand. Don't want it to be very tight either. All right, so how much should I use? I think I pulled about 2 gallons out of this thing, roughly. If I had to guess, I'd say this thing held somewhere close to 7 gallons. The instructions, or everything I read, said it would hold 9. So, and I want to say the other model only held 5. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look again. A little strange, because like I said, I looked it up by the part number. Let's clean up the mess, see if we can start it up, and see if we can cycle it out far enough to get the wedge put on. All right, let's give her a try. I've already checked the fuel level, on switch. Let's see, choke, on position, fuel, on position. Let's fire it up and see if we can make it cycle. Alright. I would anticipate that the throttle should be able to go up quite a bit higher than that. Not sure why that's sticking, but I tell you what, we will research that. Let's get the wedge on here. Alright, what did they give us? Some bolts, instructions. Pretty nice looking wedge. Is that that side or is it this side? Oh, that's that side. And this is that side. Wow. Yeah, it's no kidding, the actual kit for this thing. Usually when they say, you know, comes with a kit, you got to modify something. But this was actually the kit for it. Unbox, identify all parts, turn off engine. That's a good idea. Clean the wedge wing recess in the wedge for proper fit. Insert the nylock nuts into the hex cutouts and wing. Position wings in the proper location on the wedge and bolt in position. Tighten the bolts with a hex 3/8 hex wrench to 117 foot-pounds. All right. Pretty straightforward. So this side had the hex shape, so that's the nuts on that side. This side has the round, so this side gets the bolts. I'm going to say that the 9mm seems to fit a little bit better. To be fair, I was using a 10mm hex wrench, Allen wrench. And 10 is slightly bigger than 3/8. All right, 118 foot-pounds, right? Let's see, there is 120. Let's say 118 is about right there. All right, so right now the only thing I'm waiting on is a couple of pins that are going to show up today. We're just going to cheat and move them like that. Let's find out what's going on with this throttle. Pull this cover back off. Feels like every step forward is 2 steps back. When the ram comes back, it should hit this throttle cable. That throttle cable should move this cable. Let's say it like this, right? Something like that. And when it does that, it should idle down. And then once you start moving the ram, it should idle up. So if it's in the compressed state right now, I would anticipate that my throttle should be pretty high. And then whenever that ram comes back and pushes on this, that cable should be allowed to retract and come back down. Let's see if that cable moves. Let's see if this one forward. We're basically out of adjustment here, right? I can't really pull back any further, and I need to be able to pull back further here. So we're going to take the adjustment out of that right there. So let's loosen up this lock nut. Oh, come on. I'll grab a pair of pliers. Alright, just loosen up the lock nut. And then we want to move this nut further down until my throttle reaches the maximum. Maybe not the maximum, but high anyway, right? What's that give me for here? Okay, I think I'm pretty close to my max throttle when I do that. Let's lock this one back down. Almost seems a little bit on the high side, so we're just gonna loosen it up a little bit. So, if all goes as planned, when it's in this position, the RPMs will be high. All right, so definitely something's not loose enough to make it move back and forth freely, because right now it should be at low idle, which it sounded good right at the beginning, and then it just kind of fell on its face. Let me get this out of here and let's look at that cable and see if there's any room for adding some lube or something to it. So to be clear, the gas pedal, basically this cable, is attached to whenever this arm leaves, goes down to split wood, it's supposed to let this cable pull the throttle back, and then once it comes back, it's supposed to allow the cable to go back forward. And it's not working like it's supposed to. So let's find out if it's the cable or this throttle connection right here that was left out in the weather. Alright, so there's my throttle cable. I would think that that spring will be a little bit better, because to return that throttle, it has to, which is it's occurring with that little bitty spring right there, it has to be able to pull the cable itself, which is not the smoothest. So I'll tell you what, let's get some oil in this and then work on getting a better spring set up for this. So I lubricated the cable really well, put it back on. Thinking about adding this spring right here to take up that slack. And I think it might be long enough to reach, let's see. What if I went something like that to there? Or maybe even to the gas tank bolt. I'm thinking I like the gas tank bolt better. That bolt right there. Alright. Can I get that one to stay? Okay. Turn that on. I think that'll work for a little bit anyway. I'm sitting a little bit on a hill, so y'all gotta forgive me. Yeah, I think she'll do. 37 ton on some fresh white oak. Split pretty good. I couldn't pick up that big piece, so I'll put it up in the vertical position and finish it up. I think we'll come back and give this thing a paint job in one of the future videos. Hope y'all got something out of the video. Really appreciate you hanging out. I'll catch you guys on the next one. I got some work to do.